Hello, all my yarny friends. I'm Sarah, and it's time for Friday Fun with Sarah. We're going to have so much fun today. We are going to crochet what I call lollipop toppers or lollipop covers. And we're going to use one pattern to make 3 different styles. We're going to make a pumpkin jack-o'-lantern. We're going to make a creepy skull. A scary spider. Yeah, I don't like spiders either, but these kind are fun. All you need to make these is to get in your yarn stash and see what colors of medium weight number 4 yarns that you have. You don't have to use traditional colors, and as a matter of fact, for the demonstrations, we're not going to use traditional colors. And as far as the lollipops or suckers go, you can use Tootsie Roll Pops, Blow Pops, any kind of pops or suckers that you have that are about the same size as a Tootsie Roll Pop. I got these at the Dollar Tree, so I only paid $1 for a bag of Blow Pops and $1 for a bag of Tootsie Pops. What a fun thing to give away, inexpensive Tootsie Pops with fun toppers. And the neat thing about these toppers is once they eat the lollipop, it becomes a finger puppet. I call that a win-win, right? Let's see what we need to make these fun lollipop toppers. So what do we need to make some lollipop toppers? Well, of course you need some lollipops. And again, I'm using Tootsie Roll Pops and Blow Pops I picked up at the Dollar Tree. Now, the colors that you choose do not have to be traditional. I'm going to be using a bright green, I'm going to be using an orange, and I'm going to be using this lavender. You'll have to wait and see which thing I use with which color. But you can use traditional colors like I have here as well. Now I wanted to make a black spider, but it's really hard to see on camera just because the yarn is so dark. And so I'm not going to be doing a black spider. This one's a gray spider, and I really like him with these green eyes. And that's another thing. You might need a little bit extra of another color, like I did these in black and added a purple ribbon. I did the face in black on this pumpkin and added a little green stem. And I'm going to show you how to do all those things. I just may not do them in the traditional colors you're used to. It takes very little yarn to make these, and I'll explain to you how we make them from one pattern into 3 different styles. It's really quite easy. We're going to be using an H hook today, which is a 5.0 millimeter crochet hook. You need a needle for weaving in ends and adding your details. And then, of course, you're going to need a pair of scissors. So go get in your yarn stash. And remember, it doesn't have to be solid colors. If you've got some fun variegateds, you can use those as well. Any medium weight number 4 yarn will work for this project. We're going to begin and make a basic circle shape. Each of the lollipop toppers or covers is made using 2 circles. So we're going to begin with our slip knot, and we're going to chain 5. We're going to join this chain 5 into a circle. We'll put the tail of yarn over our hook and pull that through. And then we'll just snug that down and tie that stay knot. Now, if you prefer to use the magic circle here, you certainly can. We're going to put our hook in, pull up a loop, and we're going to chain 1. Now we're going to stitch 10 half double crochets in this chain 5 loop. Yarn over, go in, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 of those loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, 126, and 10. Now you'll notice as I've stitched my half double crochets, I also stitched over this tail of yarn, and that's so I can gently pull that closed. All right, we're going to join to the first half double crochet, not the chain 1, and chain 1. So we have 10 half double crochets. We're going to turn this over, and we're going to go ahead and weave this tail of yarn in. That way we don't have to worry about it later. So we'll thread that on our needle and weave this in. And we want to make sure it's nice and secure. That way, if they're playing with it as a finger puppet or pulling it in and out of their little lollipop, it won't come undone. All right, that's nice and snug. We'll clip that off, and that's row 1. We have 10 half double crochets joined to our first half double crochet and chained 1. The chain 1 does not count as a stitch, and we're going to begin stitching in the first half double crochet, and we're going to stitch 2 half double crochets in each of those 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we'll stitch 2 half double crochets in the remainder of those stitches and join back to our first half double crochet. I have stitched 2 half double crochets in each of those 10, so I have 20 half double crochets. I'm going to join to that first half double crochet with a slip stitch and chain 1. Now for the third row, we're only going to stitch 1 single crochet in each of those 20. This is going to cause it to curl in just a little bit, and it's going to make a nice fit when we put the 2 circles together to form our topper. All right, so we'll go right in that first stitch and stitch a single crochet, and then we'll stitch 1 single crochet in each of those half double crochets all the way around our circle. And you'll notice it does start to curl. And that's exactly what we want it to do. 1 single crochet in each of those 20 half double crochets, then we'll join back to our first single crochet. First one that we're going to make is the skull. And I decided to make it in this lavender color because I think it would be fun. Now, after I have a circle made, we need to add this bottom portion that forms the bottom of our skull. And the way that we do that is after we've made our circle, we join, we chain 1, and we're going to stitch 2 half double crochets in the next 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I have 8 half double crochets because I stitched 2 in those 4 stitches. Now the first one I tied off and weaved in my ends, and it looks like this. The second one we don't want to tie off because we're going to put the 2 together and stitch them together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do a chain 1 here. I'm going to take my 2 pieces, I'm going to face them right side out and put them together. And now I'm just going to single crochet evenly around. So we'll go right here in the first half double crochet on this side and stitch a single crochet. We'll do that right there. That way the bottom of our skull is together. And now we'll just go to the first single crochets on both sides, and we're just going to single crochet them together. Make sure everything stays lined up. go through the front and the back and stitch them together. Oops. There we go. And we'll just continue this, working all the way around our skull or our circle, and then we'll come down here and stitch that together, and we'll leave the bottom open for sliding our lollipop inside. I stitched around, stitching single crochets, and it brings me back down here to the bottom, and I'm going to just stitch in the side of that half double crochet. There we go. Oops. There we go. We want to make sure the sides are together, and then we'll stitch in that bottom half double crochet there, stitching single crochets, and now we'll just go ahead and tie that off. And now the only thing we have to weave in is this end right here, because we've already weaved in the centers of our skull. All right, I'm going to open this up, and I'm just going to weave that down inside with my needle so it stays nice and secure and can be played with. Alrighty, we'll cut that off. I decided I wanted to do my face part with yellow. I think it'll look nice against this lavender. So what I do is I put my fingers inside, and the first thing I do is I put the nose on because I want it to be right across the center. Get in there with my needle. And then I'm going to do my eyes. And this helps me make things even if I start with the nose. All right, and then we'll just make the eyes 2 straight lines. 1, 2. And then I'm going to go across over here and do the same thing. And the reason I put my finger in there is because I wanted to make sure I'm not stitching through both sides. As if I do that, I won't be able to get my lollipop in there. All right, so I've done that. Now I'm going to go down here, and I like to start about right there, and I'm just going to make those 3 lines. And I'll go down. There we go. And make sure when you're stitching these on that you're going through stitches and not the holes between the stitches, or your details will be lost. Back up in there. All right, so there's the 3 lines. I'm going to undo this one. I'm going to grab this one. And then I'm going to bring that to the inside. All right, so we'll pull that needle. We're going to turn this inside, and I'm actually going to tie a knot. I think it holds better for the facial features because kids are going to have their fingers in their lollipops going in and out of the topper. So I want to make sure that's going to stay nice and secure. All right, so we'll just flip that back out, and there's my silly face. The thing with me is I don't mind doing a skull, but I don't want it to be so scary for the kiddos. That's just my opinion. And I'm going to take this orange, and I'm going to make a bow. And I know this is probably too much yarn. I'm going to cut that just so it's a little easier to work with. And it's up to you where you want to put that ribbon. You can put it up here. You can put it down here. I kind of like it to the side. So I'll put my hook through, grab that ribbon, or I should say yarn, because I'm making a bow. You can add a ribbon if you want to, if you've got some of that nice thin yarn. And then I usually tie 2 knots. That way, even if the bow comes untied, it's not going to come off. And then I just tie a bow. All right, then I will take those 2 loops and tie them again. That way that bow is not going anywhere, and we can cut those ties. All right, let's see. Let's grab this red one, pop that up inside. There's my skull. It's not scary. It's cute, and it's fun, and it also makes a nice finger puppet. All right, so that's the skull. So here's the traditional orange pumpkin with the green stem and the jack-o'-lantern face. Well, I decided I wanted to do it in green. just because it's different. So I made my circle, then I made my second circle. On the second circle, I left my green yarn attached. We're not adding anything to the bottom like we did the skeleton, and so, or the skull. And so we're just going to put those together with the right sides out. And we're going to stitch this together, and we're going to leave an opening on the bottom. So we're going to go ahead and single crochet around the outside of the pumpkin. And we'll stitch the front and the back together, and we'll leave those last 6 stitches unstitched at the bottom so we can slide our sucker inside. All right, so again, we start with 2 circles. We're not adding anything to it like we did the bottom of the skull, and we're just stitching the front and the back together. So I stitched it around this, all the way around the side. I left the bottom open so I can slide the lollipop inside, and we're going to tie off. And again, we'll just take our needle and weave that in nice and securely. That way it can be played with without falling apart. All right, let's cut that string out. And so really we just have a circle. And now I want to make it look like a pumpkin. I'm going to do the stem in brown. Let's make the stem to our pumpkin. You're going to go to the center, join whatever color. Make sure you leave a little bit of a tail for weaving in later. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to slip stitch in that second chain. Then we'll slip stitch in that next chain. And then slip stitch in that same stitch. And there's our little stem. We'll cut our yarn. Tie that off. And then I'm going to take my hook and go inside and pull both of those strands inside the pumpkin. That way we can turn it wrong side out and weave those in. And the way I do that is I'll just take and add the needle to one piece of yarn, and I'll just loop it through, not going all the way through to the front, but through some of the back of the stitches. That way it'll hold and I can tie a knot. If you don't want to tie a knot and you want to weave it in, you can go right ahead and do that, but I would rather just tie a knot. I want it to stay put. I don't want that coming undone during play. All right, so we'll flip that out. There's our little stem. Super cute. And now we need to add the face. And so I've got some black yarn here, and it's really similar to how we did the skull. The eyes and the nose are similar. Only difference is we're going to give it a smile. All right, let's get this black yarn onto my needle. Get in there. There we go. It's a little bit fuzzy. All right, so we're going to start in the middle again and make that line. Then we'll go to the eyes, and the eyes are not up and down on the pumpkin. They're sideways, so we're going to kind of go sideways. We want them to be a little bit happier, I guess. I don't know. You can do your eyes however you want. This is just the way that I did them. All right, so there's the eye. And now we're just going to follow this around and make a smile. And I just do some stitches like this, following that line around. Oopsie. Alrighty, let me see if my smile is big enough. I think I'll do one more stitch. And you can give him a crooked smile, you can give him a silly smile. It's up to you how you want to do that. And now we'll do the same thing. We'll grab this needle and thread that thread onto the needle. Well, this is some fuzzy yarn here I picked out. All right, we'll go inside. We'll put those two ends together and tie a knot. The other thing you can do if you're worried about your knots not holding is you can add a little fray check or hot glue or fabric glue on your knots. Just make sure they're good and dry before you slide your lollipop inside. You don't want it to be melted onto your wrapper. All right, so now we have this silly green pumpkin. Let's grab another Tootsie Pop and slide that up inside. I can slide them off and on and use them as, again, finger puppets. All right, so we have a green and orange pumpkin. So I decided to make the spider orange. So I've got my 2 circles ready. And this one is done quite a bit different because as we're stitching the trim on, we're also going to make those legs. All right, so we're going to put our 2 circles together, right sides out. I made one, tied it off. I made the second one and did not tie it off because we're going to continue on around with our yarn. So we'll go in our first one here and our first single crochet here and stitch a single crochet. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold those together. We're going to slip stitch in the second chain and then in those next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to single crochet the next single crochet and repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then slip stitch in those next, the second chain from the hook, and then in those next 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we'll single crochet in the next stitch. And now my spider has 2 legs, and we'll do this 2 more times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the second chain from the hook, and in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll single crochet going through both the front and the back, and we'll repeat this 1 more time. So we'll have 4 legs on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the second chain and in the next 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then single crochet going through both sides. And my spider now has 4 legs on this side. Isn't that cute? Now we're going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches, going through the front and the back of our spider. So 1, 2, 3. Oops, I've got a knot there. I'm going to go ahead and leave it for now. And 5. Now we're going to make the next 4 legs on this side. So we're just going to repeat what we did over here, over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch in the second chain from the hook and in the next 4 stitches. The next 3 stitches, not 4 stitches. All right, then we'll single crochet in the next stitch. And you'll notice that your spider legs will curl this way. Don't worry, we can get them to curl the other way. But we'll go ahead and repeat this 3 more times to make 3 more spider legs. I repeated that 3 more times, so my spider now has 8 legs. And then we're just going to single crochet in the next single crochet and tie off. We'll take our needle and weave this in like we did the other edges. And this leaves a nice opening to slide our lollipop inside. All right, now when you look at this, you can see that the spider legs on this side are going up, and it kind of looks like a crab. And we don't want it to look like a crab unless you want it to look like a crab. So what I do is I sort of pull and stretch and bring them down. If they're not cooperating, You can dampen those little legs on that spider with some just water, and you can pin it to a board, and you can even do that with both sides just to make sure those legs come down more. All right, now the last thing we need to do is add some eyes, and I decided to use the lavender that we used on the skull for the eyes, and they're super easy. You can do French knots if you want to. I just don't. I like doing the little stitches that are just straight across like this. We did it up on the row of half double crochets. I'll put my finger up inside, and I'm just going to go across like this. Make a second one. There we go. We'll just go in and come over and do another eye. And I came unthreaded, so let me rethread my needle. There we go. And I'll just make a couple of stitches. And again, when you're stitching on crochet, make sure you go through some of those fibers of the yarn so you don't lose your stitches in between the stitches. If you go in those holes, you will lose your stitches. All right, so I'm just going to put my hook up in here, grab that piece of yarn so we can tie it on the inside. All righty, now I'm going to, where we went across the eye, I'm going to kind of loop that over, keep that from getting pulled. And we'll again tie some knots. If you're more comfortable weaving these in, you certainly can. But when it comes, like I said, for toys and things for kids to play with, I just want to make sure those knots are not going to come undone and stay put. So there's our spider, and I think he's super fun because he's facing the other end, the other side. You can hold him up and he can be a spider this way. That's totally fine, but I think he looks cute like this. Today we made skulls. We made pumpkins with jack-o'-lantern faces and 2 silly, or maybe a little bit creepy spiders. And these are so much fun. And again, I want to say that once the child has eaten their sucker, these make great finger puppets. So you can make something super fun, inexpensively, that the kiddos, and maybe even some of the adults, will enjoy. So that was super fun and a super way to use up your yarns and make something fun. And like I said, the suckers, the lollipops are super inexpensive, and it's a great way to, brighten up a child's day as well. So we made fun pumpkins. We made fun skulls. And we made a couple of silly, creepy spiders. These kind of spiders I'm not afraid of, though, because I know they're not real. And again, I just want to show you that they can be finger puppets as well. So don't go scaring your brothers and sisters, or maybe, yeah, go ahead. Well, I hope you had a good time making these and that you will make some, because they are fun to make. And so that's our Friday Fun with Sara this week. And I hope you'll join us next week for some more Friday Fun with Sara.